Who can define disruptive innovation?
All right, I'll try.
Great.
Something that totally changes things, that makes everybody change.
Something that totally changes things, that makes everything change, or every person change. I like that. There's a lot of change in disruption, right? Anyone know Airbnb out there? Raise your hand if you know Airbnb, right? Has anyone ever stayed in an Airbnb? Would we call that a disruptive innovator? Show me a thumbs up if you get disruptive innovator, right? Disruptive innovator. Okay. What was Airbnb's disruption? Who knows that? So now I want to transfer you, and I want you to think about church, disruptive innovation in church as a key takeaway, right? Because now if you're talking about disruption versus interruption says this. Interruption says we're going to go back to the way that things were. This was an interruption. It was a stumbling block. It was a hurdle. We're not moving forward. It was just an interruption into the status quo. That's interruption. Disruption says, we're disrupted. Something took its place and now we're moving forward with that. Or it's challenging for the place that it was, right? And that's disruption. So, because really what we're sharing now is stories. We're sharing who we are. So share with me. Who has the story from their first online experience when they went online first time? What parts of worship worked? It's a tough question to ask. And here's what I want to ask. Our key takeaway from this is that we were not first to the game. And we treated when we got to online like it was the promised land, but then we realized that there have been people long there before us, right? What's going on, and that we're truly trying to sustain this. So our key takeaway is that we started to realize that not every part of our worship worked online like it worked in person. And getting to online was the goal. And when we arrived, it looked at it from a distance, it didn't all work. How many of you experienced that your online worship didn't necessarily work for all parts of your worship? Right? Raise your hand big and proud if that happened. All right. 112 people. Welcome to Digital Reformation event number 2, the foundation event. It is great to see everyone. I am happy that you're here. Thank you for joining us on a Saturday morning. That's absolutely incredible. My name is Joe Liles and I'm pastor at the neighborhood church. I hope you enjoyed some time with your synodical leaders as you jumped into the rooms and got to hang out a little bit and ask some questions. So here's your key trend. Big impact, right, does not come from big budget. Big impact comes from empowering your members to use their technology to share stories of the church there. So here's the first one. And I'm gonna talk about your staff. God's house, where we always had all of our staff and all the people are coming to, they're not coming anymore. And this is a hard reality. We built a lot of our churches for the wonderful offices and the times that people would come in and sit in there. We folded bulletins and we did all these different, tasks and things. And we had the groups coming in and everything else. We've seen over the last year that our buildings have to look different. And so I'm noting some of the things that are happening, even in our staff, right? We work from home often, right? We work from home and then we have an intentional meetup once a week where we're gonna hit together with each other and then we're out again, right? We're out and going. So there's a lot of content in there about what's happening with that 8 to 5 anywhere. So the traditional work environment is shifting not only in church, but in culture, and many companies are not going back. That's a key trend in 2021. So the day is gonna be awesome, but today's all about a grant too. It's about a grant opportunity. So I'm gonna kick it over to Matt. And as we get you to the breakout rooms after that, just know that I'm going to stay on afterwards for about 10 to 15 minutes for any one-to-one questions. You got some deep questions you want to hit me with, please stay with me and I'll just chat with you guys as we go. So Matt, if you can kick in, we'd love to have you.
We'll let everybody in on a little secret. The denominational representatives who have been working together to put this together, we've decided that Jonathan Hine and I are doppelgangers. If the picture's small enough, it's hard to tell us apart.
That's awesome. I love it.
A brother from another mother.
You guys are actually side by side on my screen, and so you can see it. It's quite amazing how cute you guys look together.
I don't know if I would define Jonathan as cute.
I qualified. Did you notice that? I qualified.
Well,
how many of you are willing to try something new today? Are you guys willing to try something new? Try something out for me? I'm going to use you guys as a beta group. Is that all right? I figure we can learn together. That's what the church is about, and we can do this. So I was in a conference and I was working, and so the chat fills up really fast. I love the chat, but it fills up super fast and we can't catch all the questions. And I was, as a leader and a speaker, I was sitting in the moment, I was like, how do we get this? How do we get to a moment where I can make sure that we get all the questions fed, everyone can see them, we can record them, we're not trying to just catch the most recent one when there was a really good one, like 5 steps up. And so I jumped onto a conference and they're like, hey, use Slido. Use Slido for all your Q&A and you can upvote questions that you like, and the questions that get the most upvotes then rise to the top and we can answer those. And I was like, oh, this is an incredible idea. And so, you know what I thought is, like, on a foundation event where we're talking about digital church and streaming online and how to engage, and specifically today, kind of 3 great stories to share, we got to capture people's questions and see what's going on. So here's where we're going to start. This is going to be one of those where we need to break this down in order to get into understanding of how to craft great story. And so what we need to define is really, let's start with audience. And here's audience. An audience is the group of people who consume. Think about that, a consumer, right? It's very interesting in church, who consume your content. And this is from Stephanie. She writes about this in this wonderful resource that I'm going to give you after this event. It's incredible. It breaks down how you should engage and different things like that. But it's people who consume your content independently. You refer to them as a group. Isn't that so interesting? Like, think about this with church. Like, I think about like pre and post, and it just causes a whole bunch of questions. But you refer to them as a group, but they are a group of individuals who are not necessarily aware of one another. When you refer to your audience, you may speak in terms of the size of your subscriber base or the number of followers you have. Think about that in relationship to church for a second. Hey, how many people do you worship? Hey, what's your average worship attendance? What numbers do we have to fill out on our congregational forms, right? How many people are coming into the building, and what's this, and how do we understand metrics now? It's a group of people, right, who not necessarily are aware of one another. So now let's relate that over to community. But before we go there, I want you to define community. So let's sit on audience for a second. Now in the chat, I want you to define community. What is your best definition for community? People are there for each other. Community engages. People organized around a common bond. That's very interesting. Okay, keep it coming. Community be those who have some interaction together. Familiar. Part of an audience that buys into your message. People who are connected, who care and share together. This is good. Caring, sharing. I love this. Okay. Awesome. Supportive relationships. Common goals, interesting. People are engaged with one another and care. So you get that caring, supportive, gathered, common, right? You hear all these languages that are different from consumer. When we started talking about this as a team, and I just want to take a second to highlight our team, we really started talking in a great way between the 3 Lutheran bodies. So we have ELCA here. ELCA out there, raise your hand for ELCA. That's great. And then that's wonderful. It's great to see you all. And then we had, raise your hand if you're Missouri Synod. We got Missouri Synod Lutherans out there, which is incredible, right? We got some Missouri Synod out there. That's great. And then Wisconsin Synod. Who's got Wisconsin Synod out there, right? That's wonderful. Okay, great. Incredible. Let's just pause for a moment and say that this is absolutely incredible, that we are joining together and we're seeing this kingdom kind of grow broad. And so when we got together as the 3 Lutheran bodies, we met up and said, hey, what would it be if we could get together and have a conference for our Lutheran bodies talking about the Digital Reformation? And the Siebert Lutheran Foundation was kind enough to sponsor this conference and say, yes, let's go for it. And they said, yeah, we have a conference like this, normally every year called Change or Die. And I was like, I would be in for that conference wholeheartedly. How many of you have been to the Change or Die conference? We had some people out there, okay, that's great. 100 people that are with us, and that's going to be incredible. And I thought the best thing to do to start this conference, after the welcome, after the introductions and everything, is to really begin with worship. And so I asked Tyra if she wouldn't mind starting us off with worship and doing a worship song for us. And so if that's all right with you, can we start with worship today? Is that okay? Can we start with a worship song just to kind of head us in right? Okay.
I am really, really, really excited to be here with y'all today. I am in Los Angeles right now. It is very early for me.
It is. That's right. Yes, it is.
But as we go throughout this one-day digital reformation, and I'll be talking a little bit about reimagining the worship experience, I am going to do a lot of reimagination in worship today, live with you. So we're going to take something old that we love dearly and something new that we're leaning into. We're going to fuse them together. I'm going to teach it to you. Feel free to sing out loud in your homes. The splendor rejoice. Let all the earth rejoice. He wraps himself in light. Darkness tries to hide and trembles at his voice, and trembles at his voice. How great is our God? Sing with me, how great is our God? Oh, we'll see how great is our God.
All right, so let's get into the conference. So let's get in and just start to talk through a little bit. Tyra, thank you for that incredible worship. Number 2, this is a big one. You guys ready for this? This is great for any team member to hear. It's not someone's fault. Somewhere, the process let us down. Let's say that one more time. Right, for all of those who work in the church environment, right, and we all have that person, right, that looked in there and was like, ooh, they should have done that. Many of the times it's me in our church. So I repeat this a lot when people, I'm like, it's not someone's fault. It's somewhere the process let us down when they're looking at me. And so one more time, it's not someone's fault. Somewhere the process let us down. And as we continue, I got some friends with me now that I want to introduce to you. This is wonderful, my lovely, caring, compassionate wife, Jessica Liles. Give it up for Jessica Liles. Woo! My goodness, this is great. And this lovely person over here is my good friend, wonderful buddy, the magnificent, the magical, the majestic
Mayor Matt
Bethune of Kid City at the Neighborhood Church. Give it up for Mayor Matt. Come on now. Getting it. But we also wanted to gauge our audience. That was your tie back into the message, right? And so there are 5 key things that we want to get into every single Kid City message.
Yep.
And so we want to start by sharing those because that's what we go through when we start any Kid City message about how we get them into worship and engage them too. So who wants to start with number 1?
Number 1 is, what is our theme?
Yes.
What are we in the middle of? And like I said, with this, with us tying into your message, that becomes pretty easy. In your message, a great title that would appeal to adults and kids.
So much, Pastor Joe. So good to be with all of you today. Yes, our Twin Cities here is a little bit on fire. And so thank you for the grace. And I hope you have that for everybody all the time, because that's what we're all about, right? So what we're doing right now in the Twin Cities wouldn't be possible without the digital work that many people are doing. In fact, it's a whole nother sect of the church. Our city's kind of erupted, and how we've been able to keep in touch and to keep connected, especially during COVID times as well, is through digital worship, through Google Hang, Google Duo. We do a lot of pastoral care at St. Andrews. We have a congregation of over 10,000, and yet what we've done is we've still done hospital visits in the way that we do Google Duo. We still do a lot of phone calls, connecting with them that way. We've also done Facebook Live every day. Our lead pastor's been doing a Facebook Live. I've been doing an Instagram Live. And you can say, you know, for myself, I didn't go to school to be a pastor to be on a camera. In fact, I feel quite awkward in front of it. I don't know if that's something that some of you feel as well.
My name is Heidi Dennis, no relation to Tyra Dennis, although I kind of wish I was. She's amazing, so I kind of wish I was related to her. And also thank you to Jenny for the work you're doing. Truly is amazing. I had to transition online really quickly. So today I'd like to talk with you guys about that transition online as a therapist. I know Jenny mentioned having to transition to doing pastoral care virtually. When somebody else shares something that you're struggling with, it can be a connection moment. It can be a moment when you realize, I'm not alone in this. I'm not the only one. And so if you guys can show that courage and that vulnerability to speak out, that would be a tremendous help to your colleagues.
I really do. I think we're looking at reaching an online community of faith, and I see each and every one of you seeking to do that. How do we reach those people? And in a big question, I'm going to echo what Tyra Dennis said and what Heidi said. How do I see you, and how do I hear you? How How do I look at you in the face and say, I'm here for you? And so my goal for you in Digital Reformation would be to step back just a little and do small iterations towards that future state that you want to see yourself in, that innovation that you want to see yourself in, and begin to move towards that.